G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Life. We tell stories and our story is tennis, and the story of the tennis world is it's Grand Slam time, Wimbledon 2023, and in this presentation we'll be taking you through the top seeds of the gentlemen's singles seeds, the top 16 seeds. Yesterday we looked through the bottom half of the seeds for the gentlemen late yesterday. If you haven't caught up with that, you can get that preview right now. It's right there for you. But don't go and do that. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the top 16 seeds in the gentlemen's singles draw at Wimbledon 2023. Don't go away. We'll be right back. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Life. Coming from our luxurious production studios, produced by Wise Words Media. We're coming from Melbourne, Australia, the home of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park, where today it is a bitter 10.7 degrees. Has not moved since early this morning. In the last hour we did the ladies singles seeds. The temperature won't be going anywhere today. The weatherman's packed up his kit and decided to call it quits for the day. The weather won't be changing. It's looking pretty dreary outside. But on the other side of the globe, at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, as it ticks around to 1 o'clock Sunday morning there in Old Blighty, the temperature's actually gone backwards. It's dropped 1 degree to 16 Celsius, and the humidity, it was a paltry around about 49% about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and you wouldn't want to know. The Poms, they won't be sweating in their beds tonight from the way their cricket team's performing in the Ashes at Lords. No way known. It's humidity 66%, and that's going to put the Poms in for a very restless night. So they're probably going to want to be thinking about the tennis, and we're thinking about the tennis as well at this Australian Open Life. Good morning. You're listening to the Bloke Who Walks. We are using this Wimbledon tournament to experiment and innovate and trying to make our content a bit more reactive, a bit more dynamic. Unfortunately, yesterday, a few technological issues. We've gone backwards in terms of our professional standards that we like to stick to, but we plug on and we keep going because we want to make sure that this content has an audience, because we know for a fact that there is an audience out there for this type of content. We like to bring something different to the table because we know there's a lot of tennis fans out there. You might not have the time to look through all the various websites, the apps, listen to all the podcasts with all the various broadcasts and pundits and whatever. So let us do all the hard work for you. We know where to get the information, and we know how to package it up in one very easy to listen to presentation. And don't forget, we've also got a podcast which is on the Acast platform. And we're only a boutique production agency, digital production agency, production house, but we'll be making sure this content also finds its way to your ears if you're a person who likes listening to podcasts. So let's stop rattling on like an old maid and get into the top 16 seeds at Wimbledon, the men's draw at the All England lawn tennis and croquet club. Come on, spit it out. And the top 16 seeds. And it's great to see as we look at the number 16 seed from the US, Tommy Paul. He's gradually rising up the ranks, but he's also, more importantly, he's got some traction, and he's making the most of some recent form over the last couple of years, and he's beginning to make a home there in the top 10 and the top 20, and at the start of Wimbledon 2023, and we're finding that the Americans are a little resurgent. Now, can you be a little resurgent or resurgent? It's a little bit like being pregnant. You either are, you aren't. So the Americans, it's nice to see so many Americans in the men's and the ladies, the top 32 and the top 16. Can you give us some of your tennis expertise about your knowledge about the game before it's announced? How many Americans do you think are in the top 16 of the draw at Wimbledon this year? Leave us a note in the comments while you're dropping a like, and also subscribing would also be great. And you don't have to stick around for the whole live stream as we look at the 15th seed of Wimbledon. You can come back later on. It'll be here for you to have a look at any time of the day or night that suits you. There's no need to set your alarm clock by us for the live stream. It's just a matter of us getting the information out for you. So speaking of traction and resurgent, Alex de Minaur, he's not resurgent. He is a known quantity, and it's great to see him settling into the top 20 over the last 2 years or so. And now what de Minaur needs to do is make a home for himself in the top 10. And so that's going to require a lot of great results. And you can't get better as the 15th seed in the men's side of the draw from Australia, Alex de Minaur. You can't get better than being a finalist at Queen's. Well, actually, you can. You can win the thing. But he got defeated by Alcaraz, and that's a whole other story. So we wish Alex de Minaur all the best. And I can tell you from an Australian point of view, it's just great to have a bloke with such a great head screwed onto his shoulders, leading the Australian men these days. So the 14th seed is from Italy, Lorenzo Musetti. Not too familiar with his game, but he's also backing up his countryman who's been around the top 20 the last couple of years. We'll mention him later. And there's also another Italian, a journeyman, whose name just escapes me at the moment, who's a bit senior in years, into his late 20s. The 13th seed, the Croatian, Borna Koric, he is a danger. I would label him as a danger because Croatians love their sport, and for such a small country, do you know that Croatia, there's only 3 million people in that country. The country's only been in existence for about 20 years after all their struggles to get to independence and sort themselves out. And for such a small country of 3 million people, the Croatian population, where they find these guys and girls that punch above their weight and do the business in not just tennis but also football and also all other sorts of sports. Borna Koric leading the Croatian contingent there. And above him, speaking of leading contingents, how about this bloke, the 12th seed, Cameron Norrie from Britain. And he had a great run last year. And he's a very likeable bloke as well. But it doesn't matter about being liked. You want to have a good game to go along with it. And boy, does he have an engine on him. This guy can run all day and all night if he has to. And it's just a matter of, a bit like Alex de Minaur. just needs to fine tune his game a bit, and just it's a game of margins at this level, and he just needs to somehow tighten up a bit here and there, and you could see a successor to Andy Murray lifting the trophy at Wimbledon in about 2 weeks' time. So all the best to Cameron Norrie. Now the next bloke is Canadian, so we've got a few players from the Commonwealth of countries in the top 16 of the men's draw. Felix Auger-Aliassime from Canada, and this guy has big tickets in terms of reputation on him, and just for the moment just isn't quite hitting the heights that's expected of him. And there's another bloke just in the top 10 that we'll come to shortly, and Felix should be up around where this guy is. But for the moment, Felix is doing the business. He's got his head down doing the hard work, which is why he's the 11th seed at Wimbledon this year. Heading into the top 10, we head into a couple more American names. And as I was saying, it's great to see the Americans starting to make their presence felt beyond the college circuit, where a lot of these guys come from and learn their trade. But Francis Tiafoe of the US, he's the 10th seed, and immediately above him as the 9th seed is Taylor Fritz. And this guy is a great presence on court, a very quiet fella as a rule. And last year, I'm pretty sure he was beaten, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we're all allowed to be wrong, but I think Taylor Fritz was beaten by Nick Kyrgios. It was either Kyrgios or Novak Djokovic who was beaten in the semi-finals for a place in the final, and Taylor Fritz went very, very close to his first Grand Slam final and just came up short. And he's also a new dad. Now he's the second Italian in the top 16, Yannick Sinner. And I'll tell you, alongside Borna Coric, Yannick Sinner, I would be tipping this Italian bloke to go maybe into the final, at least a semi-final this year. He has some game on him, this guy, and it's not often you see a blonde Italian, but if you're watching the tennis coverage at Wimbledon this year, that's exactly what you're going to get. A blonde Italian by the name of Yannick Sinner, the 8th seed. His parents are from Poland. And now we've got a Russian, Andrei Rublev, the 7th seed. We've already spoken about the Russians and why they're back this year, so there's no need to go into that. If you want a little bit more information, then you can listen to our previous stream this morning. We commented on the Russian contingent and the ladies from Russia in the previous stream for the ladies' top 16 seeds. From Denmark, an unfamiliar name, the 6th seed, Holger Rune. And it's great to see the Scandinavians back because, showing my age a bit, growing up through the 80s with the Swedes dominating every court around the world, picking up Grand Slam trophies like they were tram tickets. These blokes from Scandinavia, the Scandinavians love their tennis, and although there's no Swedes, it's great to see Denmark and the other Scandinavian player we'll come to in a second, because we've got to go from Denmark to Greece, where Stefanos Tsitsipas, the Greek number 1, and this bloke is due for a Grand Slam win. There's no more excuses left for this guy. He's got all the experience. He's got all the game to win a Grand Slam. And unfortunately, last year he was done in by none other than box office Nick Kyrgios. And I think it was early in the draw too. It was the mind games that got the better of Stefanos. So he's just got to do a better job of keeping control of his emotions when he comes up against someone who gets under his skin. But I'm tipping that Stefanos will have learnt a lot from last year. It was not a very nice thing to watch last year, that public spat, not just in the press conferences, but also on court during the match. That's not what we want to see from these blokes, these players that we love following throughout the Grand Slam year. So best of luck to the Greek. And from Greece, we go back to Scandinavia to the Norwegian. The 4th seed is Casper Ruud. And there's nothing rude about his game. If you'll excuse the pun, this guy has in spades. So the next generation, the player that we're going to mention that might take over eventually from the players that have been going around winning all the trophies, the big four players, we all know who they are. There's no need to mention them, but Casper Ruud, Tsitsipas, and Yannick Sinner, maybe even Taylor Fritz or Borna Coric, they could be the next generation of players that bring us many highlights throughout all the Grand Slam for years to come. So we wish him all the best because he's got the chops. And speaking of chops, Daniel Medvedev, the Russian, we know all about him. He's been around for a while. He's had quite a lot of success throughout all the Grand Slams over the previous few years. He's been pushing Djokovic, who is the number 2 seed, and he's been pushing past Murray and gave Federer a great run for his money over the journey. And you'll notice that there's no, can't believe his name's gone a blank on me. There's no sight of the Spaniard, Rafa. Rafa, how could I forget that name? There's no sign of Rafa because, as we know, he's out with injury since the French Open, and Novak Djokovic has it all to himself. The only person that can beat Novak is Novak, the Serbian. So we all know how tough he is with his mentality. We all know his story of success, so there's no need to go into his background. We all know what he's about. So as we get to the number 1 seed, a brand new number 1 seed at Wimbledon this year, who hasn't been a leading seed at Wimbledon before, Carlos Alcaraz from Spain. He could not be in any better form. He's got putting the runs on the board. I think he's only 20, and everyone likes to win at Queen's as a lead-in, and that's exactly what he did, beating Alex de Minaur, the Australian, with his best effort on grass, and wasn't good enough to beat Carlos Alcaraz. So that's the top 16 in the men's side of the draw for Wimbledon. We've now gone through all of the men, the top 32 seeds, all of the ladies, the top 32 seeds. So let us know what you think. We'll wrap it up here very quickly, this presentation, this episode. So let us know what you think. Who do you think? Have you got your eye on somebody as the main contenders? Let's not keep it to one. Let's have a chat about the contenders and what sort of a final would you like to see? Who would you like to see battle it out? Do you like seeing the names that we know, or do you like seeing players break through for their maiden final, that they have a crack at getting their maiden Grand Slam? I know which I prefer, so I'm interested in hearing what yours is. So that about wraps it up. Please engage, join the conversation, whether it's positive or negative. It's about participating and talking about the game. Everybody loves to watch, especially when we get to Wimbledon. It's a special kind of tournament. It's a special kind of year. Even if it is only 10 degrees in Melbourne, we can live vicariously through the summer sun of England at the All England Tennis Club at SW19. So drop a like, drop a comment, or don't drop us for goodness sake. Come back, have a look at some of the stuff we put up yesterday. We've got some pretty outrageous plans for some content to bring you throughout the Wimbledon tournament. We're trying to be as innovative as we can, as reactive as we can, and dynamic as we can. And if you just bear with us while we've got our training wheels on, because usually we like to put out content that's well prepared and well thought out. This time we're kind of going off the cuff, and we hope you'll join the conversation and give us the feedback we need to improve the content, so that we can make this content, which features the Grand Slams every year, make it more of our offering. So you've been listening to The Bloke Who Walks, and I'm presenting today the top 16 men's singles at Wimbledon 2023 as part of this Australian Open Life, produced by Wise Words Media And don't go away. We'll be back later today. We'll be wrapping up day 3 at Wimbledon, and later on today, day 4. And as a special treat, we're going to do a wrap-up of all the qualifying results to see who got into the main draw. And we're also going to do a little bit of a preview as to who the wildcards are. We have a bias towards the Australians, but we'll be looking at all wildcards as they go into the first round at Wimbledon. And we're also pretty excited to announce that we're going to have a crack at bringing you player interviews as the tournament rolls out. So stay tuned for that, because there's a lot of players who don't necessarily get a lot of attention. They're generally off Broadway, and if you're a true tennis fan, for sure you want to learn about these players, and that's our niche. That's how we roll, and that's the speciality that we want to offer you, the tennis fans. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll chat to you soon.